Hello and welcome back to Monday Mindfulness. Today I'd like to do a complete introduction to mindfulness. So this isn't going to be a seated meditation practice, even though you may have some internal awarenesses and mindful experiences as we talk about the 5 fundamentals of mindfulness. And the first one is acceptance. Being able to have this safe place where any experience can be what it is. Any sensation, anything that is moving in the body is just allowed to be what it is, and that's really valuable. Otherwise things can get slippery and we can start putting all kinds of levels and judgments into things, and they can distance us and add layers of perspective from the actual experience that we're working with. Not to say layers of perspective aren't amazing things to practice mindfulness with, just saying that if we're practicing pure mindfulness, it will have all 5 of these attributes. And often some of these attributes will slip, and that's another reason why acceptance is really useful when we're practicing mindfulness. The next one is honesty. Being able to be really genuine and honest and compassionate and really loving of ourselves is very valuable. Being able to be honest about what layers of perspective we're putting onto things. Being able to be honest about what we're holding on to, what we're letting go of, what our place in this experience is. And also being able to be honest with ourselves about just the experience in the body, in the moment. Not needing to hide any of these things, which often comes if we haven't got number 1 right, which is the acceptance. And I'm not saying any of these are right or wrong. It's very important to accept our imperfections and the reality of the moment. But honesty and acceptance tie together so valuably, and they create this loving, unconditional, caring and safe space where we can actually practice and explore and dive into these details of our experience. And then this, like all of this work, becomes a habit that we can take into our regular life, and often take some of these practices and apply them to our regular life as well. So the next one is presence. Coming from that safe space that we've created with acceptance and honesty, we come to the details of the moment, and mindfulness is very much focused on this present moment, what we're experiencing now. And we really, if we're practicing true mindfulness, we're practicing all 5 of these things, and presence is fundamental, it's a key. Anything outside of presence is an interesting thing to watch, and it's not actually the richness of this moment. And a big part of mindfulness is noticing how it is now, noticing how it feels now, noticing what the experience and what the holistic environment that I'm living in this moment is. The next one is awareness. So from presence, acceptance, and honesty, awareness is the actual noticing part, being conscious and with these experiences. So we have awareness of the way everything's hanging together. We have this subtle conscious overlay on the presence. It's being able to be conscious, be aware, be sensitive, and be able to swim in this stew of presence, acceptance, and honesty that we've created. And the next one is focus. That's the 5th fundamental of mindfulness. And we work a lot with this. We narrow into one particular sensation, like the tips of the fingers, and then we can zoom out to the whole experience. And then we may even juggle 3 anchors, like 3 points of contact, and many other things that we can throw together there to exercise our focus muscle and really be able to manage this focus on demand through our regular life. So they're the 5 fundamentals of mindfulness, and the practices that we share generally target at least a few of them, but if we're not practicing all of them, if we're not experiencing the acceptance, the honesty, the presence, the awareness, the focus, we're not actually in the depths of mindfulness. We may be practicing it and working on it and actually having a mindfulness practice, but as I've said many times before, mindfulness practices are rarely perfect. And this is the goal of what we're looking to achieve with our practices, is these 5. And it's a process. Some days it might be 100%, some days it might be 10%. It's all what it is. Back to the acceptance part. So I've talked a lot about the fundamentals of mindfulness, and what we focus on as part of that is what I'm calling the 7 senses. So we've got the 5 fundamentals of mindfulness, and then we've got the 7 senses that we apply that mindfulness to. The first one is the vision, what we're seeing right now. The second one is the hearing, what we're hearing and which organs are taking this in. The next one is the touch, these physical sensations of the body. The next one is taste, smell, the mind, what's it doing? Is it dancing? Is it still? Is it eager for something? Has it got an urge? And the next one is emotion. Noticing how these emotions race around. What are their textures? What are their qualities? So these are the 7 senses that we dive into with mindfulness. And it is quite a roller coaster, dance, still time. Many different types of practices can go into these 5 fundamentals and 7 senses. So there's many ways that we can practice this. That's why there's so many videos with so many different topics on this channel. And this is the fundamentals of mindfulness. And you might have noticed with these fundamentals of mindfulness that they're not about changing or doing anything really. They're about doing our best, making a best effort to build sensitivity and awareness and that honest, accepting space within ourselves, and just cultivating that habit using trial and error and making that space a playful, accepting space where we can experiment with things. And so it doesn't really focus on change or doing anything. And saying that, it does actually tie in really well with personal development techniques and with making conscious choices. But in and of itself, it's not about changing or doing anything. It's just about being and just being able to ride in that space and be sensitive and honest with ourselves. So that's my take on mindfulness. If you have any different perspectives, if you have any feedback, any comments, any questions, please leave them below. If you'd like to subscribe, get onto that guy and you'll get messages every week when we have Monday Mindfulness. And thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a wonderful day. I love you guys.